All right, ladies and gentlemen. So today, I gotta change out the tensioner on this 2006 Honda Odyssey Touring, and I've been having issues. The belt been slipping off, and I noticed that the tensioner was a little loose. I'm guessing the bearings inside the tensioner pulley were loose, uh, but it could also be the actual little hydraulic cylinder could be losing pressure. So I'm just going to change out the whole thing. I bought it on eBay. It wasn't expensive, OEM, so I'm just going to go ahead and swap that out. So one of the first things you want to do if you have one of these and you need to change that out is you need to remove that cover, just because the cover is just easier to see everything, because the cover comes up to like right here, so it's hard. And then for me, it's easy to do. Just remove the power steering reservoir, and that way you could get down there, or like I'm probably gonna end up doing this, coming under here, because I took the wheel off already. That's just something you have to do, take the wheel off. And I took the belt off the pulley, took the tension off the actual belt. But other than that, then we're gonna loosen up the little hydraulic cylinder that goes to the tensioner, and then the tensioner has one more bolt. See if you can see it. One more bolt right there on the pulley right there, and we're gonna loosen up that bolt also, and then it should be that and that, and we're gonna change that out. I know it seems real oily and stuff there. I got to pressure wash it just because I just recently changed out rack and pinion, which is laying right there. I recently changed out the rack and pinion. It was leaking from up here, and if you notice, this is a brand new hose. I changed out the hose and the rack and pinion just to make sure all that's brand new. The pumps have been working great, so hopefully I don't have to change out the pump. But like I said, it's been working great. But today we're focusing on that pulley and the tensioner. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up that one bolt up here. Let me see if I can get a clear view. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up where's that, what's going on here. I'm gonna loosen up that bolt right there, and then that one there, and then hopefully she should be ready to come out. Let me go ahead and start doing that, and I'll get back with you. It's a 17 for the top one, 17 millimeter, and it's a 12 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken, for that one there, for the actual hydraulic bottle. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen that up, and then I'll keep you guys posted. Okay, so here we have the old and the new one. If you could tell by the old one, it was not me, but before, somebody tried to change the pulley out, the belt, serpentine belt, and they broke the cast iron here. It should have one of these there, which these are there to be able to relieve the pressure from the tension, so you can change out the belt easier. Which that was another reason why I wanted to change it out also. And then again, this one had a little bit of play in it. I didn't like that. I was checking this one, and this one hardly has any play in it. This one has quite a bit of play in it. And then again, I don't know, also this little shock here also, I feel that it might have been just losing pressure over time. It's probably the stock pulley tensioner, so or belt tensioner. So it just probably just needed to be changed out. Now would be a good time, actually, if you have one of these, to change out, to clean up, if you have to degrease, pressure wash, anything like that. I bought this van used, and you know, it really just needed a little bit of TLC. It also, there's actually a plastic guard that goes here also. I have to buy it because this van for some reason didn't have it here. It's fairly cheap on eBay, and it's just a cover that covers all that. You'll probably have it. You just have to just remove a couple clips. Has a few clips there, and it pretty much just covers that opening there, so you can't see in there, or anything could get in there. But that's pretty much that. And then again, the new one is pretty much just the 17 millimeter up top at the pulley, and then the 12 millimeter down for there that goes to that little shock. and then I'm gonna start hand tightening those. They recommend you torque them down. That's the right way to do it. Just have a torque wrench. If you don't, then just get them tight, just enough to where you're not breaking the bolt, off, or too loose to where you think it's gonna come loose. I mean, it just needs to be fairly tight. These weren't too bad when I took them off, but you need a little bit of elbow grease to make sure that they're on there and they're not going anywhere. Just so you don't have any future problems. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this new one, hand tighten those bolts, and then I'll be right back to show you what it looks like. Okay, so that's on there now. It's just hand tightened there and there. Took the liberty of cleaning up a little bit, kind of taking advantage of the fact that I'm down here, and kind of cleaned all that up. Now this bolt, one thing I want to mention is when you're taking it off the old one, it's a long bolt, so you don't want to get too far out with whatever you're using, which I'm assuming will be a ratchet wrench, because if it gets too far out, then you won't be able to get your wrench out. So once you break it loose and you come out quite a bit, try to take it off with your hand. If it gets to the point where it's just hard to get off with your hand, use an open wrench or something, just because a ratchet wrench with the socket, it's quite wide, and you're gonna get stuck, and you're gonna end up having to go back in to take it off. And to avoid that, just go out as far as you can, and just get it loose, and then try to finish it off with your hand or with an open wrench, just because you don't want your ratchet to get stuck up there. But other than that, we're in. I'm gonna just tighten everything down, torque everything, and then once everything's tightened down, then we'll proceed on to installing the belt. Okay, so here we're pretty much set up, tightened everything down on the pulley, and it comes with these little hex supports there, and that's so I have an extended wrench. That's so when you put pressure on it, the tension comes off of the pulley. There's a tension that comes off of the pulley when you put tension on. It needs to go a lot more, but here's the belt. This belt there is going to go on that pulley. So I'm going to try to do that here real quick and see how easy it is. And then if not, then we'll try from the bottom. Let's see what happens. All right, so finally got it on. And my recommendations is to try to use the bottom bolt. That bolt right there. If you notice that one, it's almost stripped out. I can see why it was broke on the other factory one, just because they're not made to hold that kind of torque. I mean, I had the right socket on there. It was that size. It's cast iron, aluminum. I'm not sure, but it's really just soft metal, and it just doesn't hold the pressure you need to put the belt on. I mean, I got it to work, but I got it to work with the one on the bottom, and I also needed an extra hand to put the belt from the top. I used that one there, which worked okay, but again, if you noticed, it's almost to the point where it was maybe about to start stripping. It's like a one-time use only kind of deal, I guess. I'm not sure, but it's really I'm not sure why they even designed it that way. It's just a bad design, I think, or just the metal's not strong enough to hold what that little hydraulic cylinder there puts out of pressure. But we finally got it on. We're going to start it here in a minute, and we should be good to go. So let me go ahead and start it up. Okay, so we finally running. Everything's good. Now, when I started it up, I had a little bit of an issue. Now, I was hearing some kind of noise, a little bit of a grinding noise. Now, what it was is that washer right there that's on the outside of that pulley was from me either putting the socket or just tightening it up. It bent in. I'm talking about this one here. This was, the edges of here were bent in just a little bit to where it was rubbing the pulley. When this turns, this does not turn because the bolt tightens down. This should not turn. and the inner part of it is what should be the only thing that should be even touching, because that's where it sits on the bearing. Just this inner part here. This outer part, out of just the factory, if you notice that crease, this should be beveled out a little bit. And on mine's, it wasn't. I don't know if it was for me putting a socket on or whatever. For whatever reason, it was just rubbing a little bit on the pulley. And when I started it up, it was making like a little grinding noise. Now I shut the van off, and I took a flathead and I just bent it out a little bit. I don't know if you can see that it's just a little bit bent out around the edges. So I just bent it back just a little bit around, all the way around, and it quit. So it's not making any kind of noise, and we're good to go. So hope that helps, and see you guys next time.